Breaking news, folks. More attacks are being reported and they are targeted on our American troops overseas. Not just that, but expectations are fast rising for attacks to hit different cities in our country too, with an incident in California that seems, I don't know, just a little bit fishy.
Governor Gavin Newsom tonight saying a massive fire that shut down the busy 10 freeway appears to be arson. That's the preliminary determination. CBS's Carter Evans reports on the indefinite disclosure in Los Angeles that will impact millions of commuters.
As flames lit up the Southern California skies, burning for several hours, the nightmare was just beginning. The biggest casualty? A stretch of one of the nation's busiest freeways, Interstate 10 in Los Angeles, completely closed near downtown, with no timetable for reopening.
If you don't have to go to work, if you can work remote, just do that.
300,000 vehicles normally pass through here every day. All this emptiness, 10 lanes of traffic, means other freeways and surface streets are now gridlocked.
It's been taking us about 45 minutes where it used to take us about 10.
Today, inspectors walked along the roadway and poured through debris underneath. A wooden structure now helps keep this section from collapsing, amid charred metal and crumbling columns scorched by flames that may have exceeded 1,200 degrees. Do you think they're going to have to tear this down and start over?
I think some of that is damaged enough to say we're going to have to replace it.
Now, of course, I'm not going to spew out any kind of conspiracy theories here since not much information has really come out about this incident, but like arson is a heavy term, meaning that Newsom is basically saying that this was done on purpose. And I can't help but to think that this could possibly be connected to something that the FBI has been saying for a little bit now. But before I even get into that, do you guys agree that this was a deliberate attack on Los Angeles? Just comment a quick yes or no down in the comment section down below on that one. And since you guys are already down there, don't forget to smash the like button for the video. Definitely helps out a ton with the YouTube algo here. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss out on any of these important updates that relate to all of us. I appreciate that, you guys. So getting back to what the FBI was warning us about.
Discussions about the most pressing national security threats that what we face and what we're doing to tackle them are always important, but it seems especially well-timed this year with the dangerous implications the very fluid situation in the Middle East has for our homeland security. The reality is that the terrorism threat has been elevated throughout 2023, but the ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to a whole nother level.
Now, this is far from what any of us want to hear, but it might be the closest thing to a truth that they're actually going to share with us. I mean, the signs are there. And one particular area that some say is the weakest when it comes to protecting the American people are our borders. I guess that's why Mayorkas is in such hot waters right now.
Let's go to a congressional hearing with U.S. Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, who's also traveled up the hill to defend what, well, anyone who spends time watching this program will say is the indefensible. That is to say, the situation at the U.S. southern border, which is seeing 2 or 3 million people a year just waltz into the United States from God knows where. Here's a few of them on the road somewhere in Central America giving thanks to the man who essentially invited them in. But according to Mayorkas, everything is fine.
So the situation at the border, you're saying, is not a disaster?
That is correct.
Do you believe that a border wall is part of the answer? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Do you think that millions of people crossing our border illegally creates the risk of a terrorist attack in our country?
Senator, I think that the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security do an extraordinary job of ensuring the safety and security.
That wasn't
of
the question I
Americans.
asked. I said, do you think that millions of people crossing our border illegally every year, 2.5 million last year, creates the risk of a terrorist? With what's going on in the world, people coming from more than 100 different countries crossing here illegally, you don't even know how many of them are still here. You came here today without that information. Do you think that creates a risk of a terrorist attack in our country?
Senator, you mischaracterized my testimony.
Yes or no? Do you think that creates millions of people come here, are here illegally? We're not even talking about the gotaways. How many gotaways are in our country here illegally? Does that create the risk of a terrorist attack in our country?
Yeah, I don't think that Mayorkas did very well with answering those questions. And to be honest, not answering the question directly is kind of an answer in and of itself, if you ask me. I mean, why the need to stray away from the question when directly answering it would help stop any other follow-up questions? You know what I mean? Which now brings me to the biggest question of all. What's the president saying about all this? Well, he's not saying much about the borders or even the attacks on our troops overseas. At least that's what I've seen by the time of this recording. You see, U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria have attacked at least 4 times within a 24-hour period. And that's after we struck 2 supposed Iran-linked sites in Syria. So yes, these are obviously payback attacks. However, they're targeting our troops, not warehouses or anything like that. They're targeting U.S. troops.
U.S. military fighter aircraft conducted airstrikes on 2 locations in eastern Syria involving Iranian-backed groups on Sunday. The United States has now launched 3 sets of strikes over the last 2 weeks against Iranian-tied weapons depots in Syria. The strikes have been carried out in retaliation for the more than 50 rocket and drone attacks that militant groups have launched against U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria.
These attacks must stop. And if they don't stop, then we won't hesitate to do what's necessary, again, to protect our troops.
So within a month, our troops overseas have been attacked no less than 50 freaking times. 50, folks. And sometimes you have to think that maybe the Biden administration should be a little bit more proactive rather than reactive because he's putting a lot of lives in danger. In fact, an internal State Department memo has accused the president of spreading misinformation. Isn't misinformation something that he despises? Anyway, so the memo says that President Joe Biden is spreading misinformation and that Israel is committing war crimes, making him complicit with what's happening over there. But what is happening over there?
2 of Gaza's largest hospitals have shut down operations, saying Israel's attacks and a lack of fuel and supplies made it impossible to keep running.
Hundreds are inside, including several babies in desperate need of a NICU who are at risk of dying without electricity.
I guess this is why many critics of the Biden administration is calling his recent statements, well, just a little bit too late.
President Biden calling for less intrusive action near hospitals.
We're in contact and we're with the Israelis. The hospital must be protected.
Israel says Hamas is using hospitals for cover. They say this is a Hamas fighter with a rocket-propelled grenade at Al-Quds hospital, a claim denied by doctors there.
You see, you need to tell your ally about stuff like this before they do it. Saying it after the fact means absolutely nothing at all because, like, how the heck do you protect a hospital that's already been attacked? But what do you guys make of all this? Should we as Americans be worried about any possible terror attacks here at home on U.S. soil? Let me know what you guys think down below. And before I go, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Keep safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.